Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question before you scroll past it. What if the version of you that you've always dreamed about, the disciplined one, the driven one, the one people look at and say, how does they do it? What if that version of you has been waking up every single morning and you just weren't there to meet them? Because here's the brutal truth that no one is going to put in a pretty Instagram caption for you. Right now, somewhere in this world, someone with the exact same 24 hours as you is already 2 hours deep into their day. They've already moved their body. They've already fed their mind. They've already sat in the quiet, sacred silence of the early morning and mapped out exactly how they're going to win today. And then they're going to show up to the same opportunities you're going to show up to, except they're going to be ready. And you're still going to be groggy, grabbing your phone, scrolling through someone else's highlight reel before you've even given your own life a fighting chance. That's not a small thing. That's not just a preference. That's the gap. That's the invisible distance between where you are and where you desperately want to be. And that gap, it starts at 5 in the morning. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another motivational speech. This is the thing, the actual thing, the thing that separates the people who talk about changing their lives from the people who actually do it. And by the time we're done, you're going to understand something so deeply, so viscerally, that the next time that alarm goes off at 5 a.m., something inside you will be different. Something will have shifted. And that shift, it might be the most important thing that's ever happened to you. I want to tell you about a morning I'll never forget. It wasn't my morning. It was the morning of a man named Marcus. And I use that name because his story is really your story and my story. Bed staring at the ceiling at 7:47 a.m., already behind, already defeated, already apologizing to the day before it even began. Marcus was the kind of guy who had everything going for him on paper. He had the intelligence. He had the hunger. He had the ideas that lit up a room when he talked about them late at night with friends over coffee. People would lean in when Marcus spoke. They'd nod and say things like, "You should do that." And seriously, you could make something of that. And Marcus would smile and agree, and then go home and watch another 2 hours of television until midnight. Lie in bed scrolling his phone until 1 a.m., set an alarm for 8, snooze it until 8:47, and drag himself into the day already feeling like he was playing catch-up, already feeling behind, already whispering the quiet, devastating lie to himself, maybe tomorrow, for years, for actual years. And here's what nobody talks about, the thing that's almost too painful to say out loud. It wasn't that Marcus lacked the desire. He wanted it so badly it hurt. But the gap between what he wanted and what he was doing every single morning was slowly, quietly, invisibly destroying him. Not in some dramatic way, not with a crisis or a breakdown, just erosion, the way a river erodes a stone. Not a sudden collapse, but a slow, patient, relentless wearing away, day by day, morning by morning, snooze button by snooze button, until one day Marcus looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. Does any part of that feel familiar? Because if you're watching this, I think it might. And I need you to know that's not weakness. That's not failure. That's just what happens when no one ever tells you the truth about mornings. Here's the truth. They never tell you. The life you want, the version of yourself you dream. About the goals that keep you awake at night, the person you know you could be if you could just get it together. All of it, every single bit of it, is on the other side of one decision. One tiny, almost laughably small decision that you make before 5 a.m. every single day. Not a big dramatic decision. Not quitting your job or moving across the country or some radical life overhaul. Just getting up early, getting up before the world gets its hands on you, getting up before your phone starts screaming at you with other people's emergencies and opinions and demands, getting up before the chaos, before the noise, before the 100 invisible forces that spend every waking hour of your day pulling you away from yourself. I know you've heard wake up early before. You've probably rolled your eyes at it. You've probably thought that's for those people, the Tim Ferriss types, the CEOs, the biohackers, the obsessed. You've probably told yourself the story that you're just not a morning person. Let me tell you something real. Your life right now is a reflection of who you believe you are, not what you say, not what you wish, not what you post, but what you believe deep down, because every action you take follows that belief. If you believe you're inconsistent, you'll act inconsistent. If you believe you lack discipline, you'll avoid hard things. If you believe you're average, you'll settle for average results. That's how powerful identity is. It controls everything. And most people are trying to change their life without ever changing who they think they are. They set goals, they get motivated, they try for a few days, but then they fall back because their identity pulls them back to what feels familiar. Now, listen carefully. Waking up at 5 a.m. is not just a habit, it's a statement, a declaration. It's you telling yourself, I am no longer that person. I don't wait for motivation. I don't depend on feelings. I don't make excuses. And when you repeat that action every single morning, something starts to shift. At first. It feels unnatural. It feels uncomfortable. Your body resists. Your mind complains, but you still get up, and that's where the change begins. Because identity is not built in comfort, it's built in resistance. Every time you wake up at 5 a.m., you are rewriting your story. You are proving to yourself that you can do hard things. And your brain starts collecting that evidence. It starts saying, this is who we are now. Not because you said it, but because you showed it. That's the difference. Talk doesn't build identity. Action does. Consistent, repeated, undeniable action. Now here's what happens next. Once your identity begins to shift, your standards rise, you no longer tolerate the habits that held you back. Wasting time feels wrong. Being lazy feels uncomfortable. Procrastination feels unnatural. Why? Because that's not who you are anymore. You've evolved, and when your standards rise, your life has no choice but to rise with it. You start making better decisions automatically. You choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, progress over excuses, not because someone told you to, but because it aligns with who you are. That's real transformation, and it doesn't stop there. Your confidence begins to grow, not fake confidence, not loud confidence, but quiet, unshakable confidence, the kind that comes from knowing I can trust myself. Because every morning, you kept your word. You said you would wake up, and you did. You said you would show up, and you did. And that builds something powerful inside you. Self-respect. And once you have self-respect, everything changes. You walk differently, you think differently, you move differently. You don't need validation, you don't need approval because you've already proven something to yourself. Now understand this, the world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. So when you become disciplined, opportunities start to appear. When you become focused, results start to follow. When you become consistent, success becomes inevitable because you're no longer chasing it, you are aligned with it. And all of this begins with a single decision, a simple act, repeated daily. Waking up at 5 a.m., not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because it shapes you, it transforms you, it turns you into someone who doesn't wait, doesn't hesitate, doesn't quit. Someone who shows up every single day, no matter what. And once you become that person, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. Because the real battle was never out there, it was always within you. And the moment you took control of your mornings, you took control of your identity, you took control of your future, you took control of your life, now you see it. This isn't just about waking up early, it's about taking back control of your mind, your time, your life. Because every keynote we talked about, it all connects. When you wake up at 5 a.m., you gain the advantage, you give your brain the space to grow, you step into silence that creates clarity, and most importantly, you become someone different. Stronger, sharper, more disciplined. This is not a quick fix. This is not motivation that fades. This is a daily decision. A decision to rise when it's hard, to show up when it's uncomfortable, to do what others won't, because that's where transformation lives. And understand this, you don't need more time, you don't need more talent, you don't need perfect conditions. You just need to start one morning, one alarm, one choice. And from that moment on, everything begins to change. Your thoughts become clearer, your actions become stronger, your standards become higher, and your life begins to reflect it. So, when that alarm rings tomorrow, remember who you're trying to become, because greatness isn't built in comfort. It's built in those quiet mornings when no one is watching, but you still choose to rise.